Some rappers from the streets continue to break the law even after fame. Here's a list of rappers who committed terrible crimes with serious consequences. Now, one of the crimes King Von is most notable for is what happened to rival street member K.I. At a very young age, K.I.'s father passed, which forced her to live with her mom and brother on 63rd Street in Chicago. 63rd is home of famous rapper FBG Duck, who is O-Block's biggest rivals in Chicago. With K.I. being seen in Duck's early music videos, this made O-Block members know what crew she was with. Now, King Von, who was 17 at the time, ran into K.I. for the first time on a public train. Von and his crew dealt with K.I. without the use of firearms, and then mocking the situation on Twitter. This made things heat up between the two blocks, and with things heating up, K.I. would then lose her cousin named Taekwon Tyler, who felt like a little brother to her. She admitted she was crying all night, and even made a promise online she would one day avenge him. Now, at this time, King Von would tweet at her every single morning, before eventually noticing her at a local corner store. Noticing her through the store windows, King Von and his crew approached the store before the owner quickly locked the doors. Von would then tweet this when he left. Now, around the time, theories were floating around that K.I. avenged her cousin Taekwon and was involved in the passing of two O-Block members. King Von knew what needed to be done to avenge his O-Block brothers. So in April of 2014, with 63rd having a barbecue celebrating the life of a past member, King Von got word about the celebration and quickly made a move with a few boys from O-Block. Around 1:30 p.m. on 63rd Street, King Von and his boys quickly drove down, exiting the vehicle, and was seen walking down an alleyway between the neighbor's house, before quickly peeking up and using his firearm towards the group of 20 people. K.I. ended up passing during this situation, and the rest was history. Now, NBA YoungBoy's most notable crime was one of his recent ones, as on March 10th, 2021, NBA YoungBoy was charged with 1 count of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, as well as 1 count of possession of a firearm not registered on the National Firearms Registration List. NBA YoungBoy was outside recording a music video out in a public street in a neighborhood. While blasting loud music, an older lady who lives on the street called the police as she was worried for her neighbors. There was 10 to 15 men standing around a vehicle on a public road, recording a music video, flashing around firearms loaded with high-capacity magazines, as well as the smell of narcotics in the air. NBA YoungBoy was quickly arrested at the scene and taken into jail. With YoungBoy's lawyers able to get him house arrest, law enforcement, after a few months, directed YoungBoy to turn himself into jail for the trial to begin. Well, NBA YoungBoy was a no-show and decided to duck the enforcement. This made the FBI get involved, and things got ugly fast. NBA YoungBoy was leaving his mansion in his SUV, without knowing that down the street, the FBI was doing a stakeout on his house, waiting for him to leave his property. NBA YoungBoy was then seen spotted driving onto the highway. He was directed to pull his vehicle to the side of the road. After pulling his car over, the FBI agent started doing the same and quickly hopped out of his vehicle. With the FBI agent stepping out of his car, NBA YoungBoy then floored his vehicle down the highway, starting a crazy high-speed chase going straight down a public highway. Now, traffic started to become an issue for YoungBoy. This made him turn off of the highway, hitting the regular streets. The chase continued until NBA YoungBoy hopped out of his vehicle and took the chase on foot. YoungBoy was wearing skinny jeans, designer shoes, heavy diamond chains, which probably isn't the best to wear from running from the FBI. The FBI set up a trap around the area of YoungBoy's location. By using K9 units, roadblocks, and even a helicopter, this made NBA YoungBoy hop a fence and sprint through a public backyard. While sprinting through this backyard, turns out it was a fan's backyard who was sitting, cheering YoungBoy on, recording him, telling him to run faster as the FBI agent was about to catch him. Sadly, NBA YoungBoy was then arrested and taken into county jail once again. Now, the next rapper is Pooh Shiesty, as he has a 2-part case using a firearm towards 3 individuals, and is now going to be sitting in a prison cell for over 10 years. Now, via Instagram DMs, Pooh Shiesty set up a meeting with 2 people for high-end sneakers and narcotics in a parking lot. Now Shiesty is seen arriving driving a bright green McLaren sports car, and while discussing the pricing of these goods, Shiesty was seen and caught on video surveillance pulling out a firearm out of his waistband and using it towards the two men. With the two men sprinting and ducking for cover, Shiesty was able to hit one in the hip and the other one in the backside with the firearm. Shiesty was then seen grabbing the goods, throwing it into his McLaren, and trying to make a quick getaway. But while rushing for the getaway, Shiesty didn't realize a Louis Vuitton bag fell out of his McLaren and was left at the scene. And with Shiesty heading to the airport, he rented a private jet and flew right out of there before law enforcement had the chance to arrest him. Now without realizing this, Pooh Shiesty just committed an armed robbery in a bright green McLaren sports car right beside a police station, as the video surveillance you see of the crime was recorded by the local police station's camera. Not to mention, Shiesty posted a selfie with the exact same McLaren he just did an armed robbery in on his Instagram the next day. Now not too long after that, at the King of Diamonds club, Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty was performing for a crowd, and during his performance, Pooh Shiesty was seen having 40,000 cash sitting in his skinny jeans pocket. According to the arrest warrant, Shiesty was performing at the club when somebody in the front row knocked the stack of cash out of his back pocket. With $40,000 cash falling onto the floor, the crowd was quickly to swarm around it, grab the cash, and sprint out of the club. Pooh Shiesty then hopped off the stage, tried retrieving his money from the people, but everyone just ran out too quick. This is when somebody in the back row was recording the concert and even recorded Shiesty pulling a firearm out of his waistband while exiting the club. A few moments later, a firearm was then used outside of the club towards a security guard, as witnesses claim it was Pooh Shiesty who did it. Now the next rapper is two of them. It's Lil Durk and King Von, as the forgotten case of Lil Durk and Von begins in 2019. Rappers Von and Durk were out in Atlanta at a restaurant called The Varsity. As outside of The Varsity, law enforcement claim they have video evidence of Lil Durk using a firearm towards an individual named Alexander Witherspoon. This was after Durk and Von allegedly snatched his chain and stole 30,000 cash out of a backpack from him. Now records claim the two rappers were at a recording studio throughout the night. They then went to the gas station before going over to The Varsity for dinner. While walking up to The Varsity, Durk and Von noticed Alexander Witherspoon standing in the parking lot outside of his vehicle. This is when Durk and Von ran to the side of the building, put up their hoods, and thought of a plan to get him. Durk and Von were then seen approaching Alexander Witherspoon. A small conversation would then break out before the two rappers went to go snatch his chain and even robbed him for 30K cash. While in the process of it all going down, Alexander Witherspoon's car keys fell out of his pocket, which the two rappers proceeded to then pick them up and steal his car as well. When driving away, video footage caught one of the two rappers' arms sticking out of the car window and using a firearm towards Witherspoon while he was on the ground. A warrant then quickly went out for Durk and King Von's arrest. Before turning himself into jail, Lil Durk would release his hit song Turn Myself In, claiming that he is innocent in this case and will get through it with no issues. A judge then granted Durk and Von bond in this case, and with the trial starting soon, it's gonna get very interesting for Durk's career. Now if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like on it and don't forget to subscribe. It's been District Trending, and I'm out. Peace.